So the Israeli government has finally made their true intentions public, which is to take over Gaza, and they're not going to stop there because they're going to take over the West Bank, which they've been focusing on, and it won't stop there because they want to create Greater Israel, which will encompass parts of Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, Jordan, and maybe a few other nations in the area. This is something that the Israeli government has been planning since October 7th. Their goal was never self-defense, it was to genocide Palestinians and take their land.
Overseas, Israel's government approved plans to capture all of the Gaza Strip. Country's army is calling up tens of thousands of reserve soldiers. Our MTS tie-up has the latest.
Well, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has made it clear Israel's plan is now to capture all of the Gaza Strip and that this offensive will be, in his words, intensive, and that Israeli troops will remain in the devastated Palestinian territory for an unspecified length of time. Now, Netanyahu also said the Israeli military's previous strategy of carrying out raids and then abandoning territory it once held will now be, in his words, the opposite. Israeli government minister
Does the Israeli government even have a large enough military in order to actually capture Gaza and maintain it? Because they're barely able to actually win in a genocide or quote unquote war against Hamas, as they are continually losing troops due to casualties or injuries, though the amount of casualties of the Palestinians are extensive.
Ministers unanimously approved these plans for the new offensive just today. Only hours earlier, it was announced that tens of thousands of reserve soldiers are being called up. Now, despite 19 months of brutal violence in Gaza, the Israeli military has so far failed to achieve its goal of destroying Hamas or returning all the hostages. And critics within Israel say the new plan will achieve neither of those goals. Now, the situation in Gaza.
Because the goal was never to return the hostages, it was to prolong the war long enough to where they can actually try to capture uh, Gaza, as well as for Netanyahu to keep himself out of court.
Gaza is already catastrophic, and this will only make things that much worse. We have to remember, for 2 months now, Israel has already prevented all food, water, and medicine from entering Gaza. It's already being described as the biggest humanitarian crisis the Palestinian territory has ever seen. Now, speaking to reporters at the White House, President Trump did not offer his views on Israel's plan to expand operations in Gaza, but instead blamed Hamas for having treated the people of Gaza, quote, very badly. The president.
Yeah, I find it funny how now more news stations are speaking out about how the Israeli government is actually treating Palestinians when under the Biden administration they kept acting like Israel were nothing but the good guys and doing everything in their power not to kill uh, innocent Palestinians. And when Biden did nothing about what Israel was doing, the news stations said nothing. But when Trump does nothing, they want to make it look bad.
President, however, did say the U.S. will, and again, I'm quoting here, help the people of Gaza get some food. Now, Trump's comments come as he is expected to visit Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar next week, something Israel sees as a window of opportunity for a hostage deal in Gaza. Israel is reportedly trying to leverage the U.S. president's trip to the Middle East to push Hamas to accept a deal, with the Israeli military reporting that Netanyahu will launch that massive ground operation if no deal is reached.
Well, the thing is, Netanyahu will never reach a deal with Hamas because he doesn't want to deal with Hamas because that means an end to the war, which means he won't be able to justify stealing land. And you got coalitions in his government that threaten him with dissolving the government if he accepts any kind of ceasefire. And if he stops being the prime minister, he's going to go to jail, which is why he continues the genocide.